Welcome back to the channel, everybody. You've seen that number 9 before, and I've got 3 of those number 9s myself, but this one is for one Mr. Kyle Christ. As you all know that keep up with the channel, Senior was out with the 212 the other day, and I mentioned how it had a D2 sized engine. Kyle Christ watched that, promptly texted me back and asked, is there any graders that are a D4 size? This is it right here. That's a D4400, same engine as a D4. This is a number 10 diesel auto patrol, so it's the next bump up from this gasoline powered number 9. All right, we'll check the serial number tag. It is a 9F 1892, and usually Cat always stamped the numbers in the frame then put the tag over the top. This number stamping in the frame actually ended up below the tag, but it's the same 9F 1892, so we know that has not been messed with. That would put this as a 1937 model year. And one interesting thing about the 9F series auto patrols, if they had a T stamped after the serial number, they would have been a tandem drive. That one has no T, and of course it is the single drive. Dual wheel setup, common for the single drives of the day. Great big rear end in it. There is a huge straight cut bevel gear in there, and there is no differential. These things are direct drive out to the wheels. Absolute traction grip. Like I said before, D4400 diesel engine that was the same size as was used in the D4s of the day. Standard twin cylinder starting engine. Hallmark of the graders, we have the handles on each side. Looks like we fixed up a overflow tank, which is kind of interesting. Well, it's better than purging it out on the ground, I suppose. But yes, this is early D4400. You can tell by this early style first generation governor housing right here. We have the early style edge filters under this plate and under this cover. That's all fuel area right here. Standard transfer pump feeds the injection pump. The clamp style fuel injectors held down at the top. You can always tell a D4400 because we have this cast iron radiator outlet. We have the early first generation radiator fan with the narrower blades, just like 5J1113 has. Solid looking core in it. Graders usually had radiator cores that stayed in pretty good shape. Oh, we see a little bit of a hole up there. It could have got backed into, but generally they stayed in pretty good shape because they were pretty well protected. Early first generation mushroom top, air cleaner top on it. That's kind of an interesting piece to find. Aside from that, pretty much standard. Flip down footsteps. We've got, looks like the old coolant temp gauge is gone, but we have the Stewart Warner oil pressure gauge. Nope, I take that back. Modern style coolant temp gauge where the amp gauge used to be. All right. I like how they cast the on and off and light. That's where the light switch would have been. And we have, this is a non-gated shifter, but we have all of the gear ranges cast into it. First, second, third down there, fourth up here. Reverse middle to the bottom. Again, grab handles on the side of the frame. Most of the wood cab is gone. They just cut this door out of, looks like some maybe 1/4 inch plate steel. But moldboard cutting edge look really good. The old industrial riveted circle frame, just like the number 9 has. Again, jack screw drive, just like the number 9. This has probably half of the Scarifier left on it. That's the gearbox with the lift arms here. It would have been fed out of that power shaft, first one in from this right side with the link that goes up here, and it all turns. If we spin on the U-joint here, movement on the arm, it's all there. The Scarifier rack would have pivoted off of this crossbar here, came down with vertical links up to those ball joints, and then the teeth would have anchored below that. Caterpillar block font cast into that front nose. Steering box mounted up top. One upgrade on the number 10s from the number 9s. You can see this number 9 has a non-cushioned circle frame support that goes into that ball joint, whereas the number 10s, they actually put a big coil dampening spring on there that fed back from that joint, so that really helped to absorb some of the shocks if you hung this thing really hard on something. Going back over to this side, here is your parking brake, e-brake you could call it. Goes down to some brake shoes that are underneath that drum. And another hallmark of the number 10s, is they always had this tunnel built into the floor, and that's where that live power shaft comes from. The back of the diesel engine, it splines right into the flywheel on the back of the diesel, and there's a hollow input shaft that power shaft passes through, so that anytime the diesel engine's running, this power control box has live spinning power feed on that shaft. Goes into the bottom right here, changes direction, comes up top, and it powers a series of gears that stack up in here. A lot of questions on the 212 grader video just from a couple episodes back asking, how do these power control boxes work? Well, you have a series of gears that are being spun all the time. Each lever has its own pair of gears. One gear out here, one gear in there, and there's a sliding collar between the two with a cam mechanism that could attach that collar to either one of those gears. So with those gears spinning all the time, you pull these levers back, it's going to cam that collar into one gear, which is going to turn these shafts one direction. Push that same lever forward, cams that hub into the other gear, which is spinning the opposite direction, turns all those shafts the other way. It's so crazy simple in how it works, but if you could ever pull one of these covers off and one of these things are actually operating, you just see gears moving and turning and spinning all up and down that box. It's really something. It looks like clutch pedal here, pretty decent amount of wear, but brake pedal looks almost new. Quite sharp yet, really. Floor pan's in pretty good shape in it yet. The old battery box built in next to the seat, and the old arched roof, curved roof. So this is for one Mr. Kyle Christ. He wanted to see a D4 size grader. This is a D4 sized cat grader. Thanks for watching, everybody.